Hi, everybody, and welcome back. My name's Melissa, and this year I'm sharing 365 tips for frugal living. And this month, the month of June, I am doing a no buy month, and I'm updating daily to kind of show you how it goes for me. So I set myself a pretty strict goal, financially speaking, of $500 is my cap. That's like gas, food, any miscellaneous expenditures that I have. It doesn't include anything like if I have to repair my car or if I have a major housing expense that has to be repaired, because things like that come up. It doesn't include bills either because we all have to pay bills. But what I've been shocked about is how much I actually do spend per day. So I hadn't noticed it before. And in May, I noticed that I spent a lot more. Granted, I had like some miscellaneous things that had worn out and had to be bought, so timing to some extent. But I also kind of went off my rails on my diet, and I gained 18 pounds. And a lot of that was doing things like going out to eat or buying food that was quick and easy based on cravings at the grocery store or treats that I really shouldn't have. So June's kind of a reset month for me. And I was kind of shocked because yesterday I was down to, let me see if I can see. I was down to, or I had spent $292.25, it looks like. And I was down by $108.88. So I had been spending a lot still and noticing it. So today I actually kind of had, I guess, like a negative spending. So I had bought white lithium grease, and when that didn't work, I assumed it was an issue with the white lithium grease. I bought the silicone lubricant, same brand as the white lithium grease, and it took almost an entire can. My old brand, same size can, lasted like 13 to 16 months. So I mean, I got it when it warmed up in 2024, and I know it warmed up early, but I couldn't remember. I mean, I bought it sometime between like February and April, or May, March. Anyways, so when I realized that, I was like, okay, clearly this brand is not made properly and it's defective. So I decided to return those. And I also I was originally going to do these like hanging baskets with burlap and decided to go another way. So that was unopened and I returned it. So I live a half hour, 45 minutes away from like Menards and a lot of your major grocery stores and stuff. So a lot of the time, if I have a project, I will frequently buy extra of stuff that I can easily return, knowing that it's easier to, like, it really sucks to be elbows deep in a project and have to run and spend an hour and a half running to get something that takes like 3 minutes to buy, but it's just like the drive. So I returned those things. And so even though I spent $6.50 on the silicone to replace it, I had returned $23-ish. So my spending today was actually negative $17.36. And I debated over whether or not I was going to include the returned items as like a negative thing, but is like a negative spending. But I forgot to fill up on fill the tank with gas on May 31st. So like right off the bat, June, I had about half or so tank of gas that was actually carried over from May. So if I'm gonna include stuff like that in the spending, then I also feel like it's appropriate to include the returns and take them out of the spending. Um, so that brings my total spending to $274.91. And then that means that I am only $74.87 behind on my budget. I will get gas tomorrow, so that'll definitely pop me back up to being further behind. But I'm beginning to kind of like catch up and close that gap. So that makes me really happy. As far as the weight loss goes, I only lost 2/10 of a pound today, but that still brings me up to 17.6, and I weighed the same this morning as I did on April 30th, which made me so stinking happy. So I lost all the weight I put on in May. I thought it was 18 pounds, but it apparently was only 17.6. And that leaves me with what, 12.4 pounds to go to make my goal. It is June 12th. I mean, technically the 13th, but June 12th, we'll say. So the spending goal is looking easier. The weight loss goal is suddenly looking harder, but I'm okay. And I think I may still pull. I probably won't. I probably at this point am thinking like I'll be lucky to hit 25 pounds lost. So now I'm kind of like seeing how far I can overshoot that 25, how close to the 30 I can get, because thinking the 30 may be pretty impossible. They've set my goal a little too high. However, I may actually come in under budget, so we'll see. It's important to have goals, and the point was to reset everything, and I'm definitely doing that. I am definitely thinking more about my spending and thinking about it in a different way. And I think like writing it down every day, and I even did a whole video about how like the psychology behind it, and how it, kind of like how you used to have to write a check and then write it in the check register. Being so incredibly conscious of my spending every day has definitely helped to decrease my spending. And I'm actually considering going back to doing like a manual checkbook, not just for my like checking account, which, I mean, honestly, I'll admit I'm very much so the tech person who goes online, goes on the app and checks like their balances and all of that, and just like make sure everything went out okay. And I think instead I'm going to go back to the old-fashioned check register, not just for the checking account, but in general for my spending, because I feel like by doing the old-fashioned and physically writing it down and thinking about it and having like a very tight, strict budget / goal, it really is definitely making me think more closely about my spending, about my budgeting, and about how I spend my money. So if you decide to do a no buy month, I cannot stress enough how important it is to really start, like, to not just do the no buy month, but to like write it down and to see where your money is going and everything. Because the more ways you can open your mind to how you're spending your money and where the waste is, the easier it's going to be, and it's going to like completely flip a switch. So that is kind of my big recommendation and my big takeaway so far with that. So anyways, again, my name's Melissa, and this year I'm sharing 365 tips for frugal living. And this month, the month of June, I am doing a no buy month and updating daily and sharing my successes, my pitfalls, what was easy, what was hard. Honestly, like today, it wasn't so hard. I did pretty well. I mean, I wasn't able to do shipped because the app was down, so I walked around Menards hoping that like the app would start working, and unfortunately it did not. However, I did things like I looked at the vinyl flooring because I do need to redo my floors. That's the great thing though about living in 400 square feet is the factor that it'll be a lot cheaper. I can redo the flooring in my whole house for what most of y'all would pay to redo a room. So super convenient there. Um, and started looking at things for like see if they had any specials in the food section because my kids' graduation party's coming up. So I felt good about not spending, and I felt okay with looking at stuff that will be future expenditures so that I can start planning on that. So anyways, again, my name's Melissa, and this year I'm sharing 365 tips for frugal living. If you want to hear more, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.